Depending on the platform you stream on, you can stream 1,000 hours that month and you may not have anyone come in. You might have a couple people, but the more hours you stream doesn't necessarily mean the more people will follow you. Subscriptions aren't typically how a lot of streamers make their money. It's like a base of it, obviously, but the next part is definitely...
Joining us today is Adrian Morris, a seasoned content creator and social media expert with a passion for video games, anime, and otaku culture. Originally from Alabama, Adrian made his way to Japan in 2012, starting as an English teacher before transitioning into translation and social media management at Tokyo Otaku Mode. With over 5 years of experience streaming on Twitch and YouTube, he's built a community around his love for gaming and creativity.
So if you're ever going to broadcast anything, you can use, which is what I use starting out. Users don't hop to different platforms. They usually like watching on what they're watching on. My tip is find what you like. You're already using a social media typically. Find which one you like and kind of stick with it. You'll notice that a lot of content creators, they can use all 4, 5, whatever. You can use all the resources. You're only going to blow up usually on...
Hey, everyone out there. This is Alan, CEO of FreeCasual.io, and welcome to Profit Powerhouse, the podcast where we sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs to uncover the secret behind their success. We're here to learn what drives their growth, the challenges they overcome, and how they master their finances. Our goal, to help you achieve the same success while maximizing your profit. Let's dive in. Today, on Profit Powerhouse, we welcome a very, very special guest. Get ready, gamers and anime lovers, because today we have a guy who's going to bring the ultimate combo of streaming and otaku culture. Joining us is none other than Adrian Morris, better known in the gaming world as Ninja Trickster. For the past 5 years, he's been keeping audience entertained as a variety streamer on YouTube and Twitch, all while navigating life in Japan. But that's not all. By day, he's on the front end of fandom as a customer support agent and social media manager for Tokyo Otaku Mode, one of the biggest names in anime and otaku merchandise. From epic gaming moments to inside stories from the anime industry, this is a conversation you do not want to miss. All right, if you guys are ready, let's dive in. Adrian, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going? Wow, you really did spice that intro up.
hey, I want to make it special for you. Yeah. If you don't mind sharing with our audience a little bit, just a little bit more about your background, what really inspired you to start your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Adrian, and I have been streaming on Twitch and YouTube recently for around 5 years. I'm originally from the United States, from the lone state of Alabama, and made my way. Yeah, roll tide. Made my way over here in like 2012, I want to say. Started out as an English teacher or an assistant language teacher here in Japanese junior high schools. And after that, worked as a translator for a solar panel company. And my interest has always been in video games and also anime and otaku culture. And that's when I found Tokyo Otaku Mode. I've been there for around 8 years now, going on 8 years.
Wow.
And it's been a journey, but it's one that's been definitely worth it. And I decided to start streaming originally because I got to a point where I just wanted to learn new things. I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to express my own creativity in something that is something that I'm very passionate about, which is video games and making content around it. And that's how I ended up streaming. Just on a whim, kind of. My friend / supervisor at the time was like, hey, you know what? We should do a podcast. And then he started streaming. And this was around, I want to say 2020. So around the pandemic. And he was like, yeah, maybe we should do a co-stream or figure this out. And that's just how it started cooking.
Wow. Quite a journey, right? And a lot of longevity in there. Any pivotal moment that you can think of at the beginning of that journey, right? That really defined where you are today?
I would say for streaming, it was definitely the moment where I realized I had a community. I started out streaming to literally no one. It was just myself talking to myself, playing a game with less than optimal internet connection. And it was something where I couldn't ever count on one person to be there or not. And after one point, I would say like a year and a half, close to in the 2-year mark, I would say a year and a half in there, I was doing my podcast and ended up networking with some people. And then they started coming in and they kept coming in. And next thing I know, it's like this small community of people who just every week we love to talk and get together and just chill.
It's great to see what you build up so far, right? I know streaming is obviously a really big trend right now, right? A lot of people want to become streamers.
Yeah.
Anything you can tell the folks out there who are inspiring, want to go down this path? Any of the challenges, pitfalls, or just funny stories that you want to kind of get their gears going, right? To what they're going to face if they want to enter the world of streaming.
Yeah, there's there's a ton of things that you can do or not do. There's
Yeah, we'll love to learn about it.
There's a lot to learn. Honestly, it goes from being very simple to being, if you want to make it complex, you can make it complex. All you need to get started is just your phone. That's it. You can get started. You can stream games from your phone. You can stream IRL, just in real life stuff from your phone. You don't need any special apps or anything. It's just to the point where if you want to make your audio better, okay, maybe I need to invest in a microphone, or
right.
maybe for technical purposes, for better games, you need to upgrade your PC. Like those sort of things come into factor. For me personally, I always just tell people and people come in my stream and ask this question, like, what can I do to become a streamer? And I just tell them, like, stream what you like, stream whatever it is you like, stream what you can stream, one day, the next day, consistently. That's the main thing, is you have to stream consistently on a schedule. I stream every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 9 p.m. Japan Standard Time to
that's 4 days
12.
A week, right, Adrian?
That's 4 days a week. Yeah.
Oh wow, dedication.
I started out at 2 days a week. Wednesday and Friday, I think, is where I started. Then I added Saturday. Then I added Sunday.
So the whole weekend, basically.
The whole weekend, and that's what I said. It's great when you have people, because when you don't, that is something that can be a little bit difficult, trying to stream that much. And another piece of advice is that it doesn't, depending on the platform you stream on, say you're streaming on Twitch. Twitch is very much a closed ecosystem. You can stream 1,000 hours that month and you may not have anyone come in. You might have a couple people, but the more hours you stream doesn't necessarily mean the more people will follow you. If you're streaming on a place like TikTok, on the other hand, you're going to get a lot more eyes on you, because that's a much more open and discoverable platform for content. Same with YouTube, is a little bit in the middle of that, but it really does. The thing now is, honestly, just, I would recommend multi-streaming. Stream to all of the platforms at once, starting out, and learn the intricacies of each one, what makes each one of them good, and do your research. That's just a really good thing. The more knowledge you have, look at YouTube videos, look at other streamers, and get in the back end of OBS, see what's good, what kind of widgets you can make, or how you can engage your community. And then for other streamers like Pokimane or I don't know, Ninja, whoever, look at these kind of bigger streamers and see, what do you like or don't like about them, and how can you incorporate that into like your own stream.
No, that's great. It's great advice, right? I think a lot of people starting out, they have this paralysis, right? Because they think, oh, I need the best 4K camera, right? I need the best audio equipment before I can really jump into it. How can I compete with like a Pokimane, right, of the world, if I don't have those things, right?
Yeah.
But then the counter aspect is, if you're waiting for those things to happen, you might never get started.
You might
right?
never get started.
You might not have this history, right? No one will ever know about you, and you'll never become discoverable, right? And then you kind of talk about this too, right? There's a lot of competition out there. A lot of people think, oh, streaming's so easy, right? You just turn on the camera and there you have it, right? And then obviously you talk about some of the hard times. How do you kind of stay motivated throughout these years and, focus when things do get tough?
Yeah, I think there's been a couple times where it's been tough, and I think streaming in and of itself. If you're just playing games like myself, sometimes I'll do IRL streams. A lot of times, it can be demanding if you step up an extra day. I remember last year I decided, as an experiment to myself, as a challenge, to stream on Thursdays. So I was streaming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that fifth day, and while I made the content for Thursday a different type of game, something that people like a Destiny or an MMO, like something that typically if people do come in, they kind of come back and they'll keep coming back. That ended up just burning me out. It burnt me out. I now know that I can't stream 5 days unless I'm not working a full-time job, or it has to be like maybe 1 week or 2 weeks in the year, but not like every week. That's just too much for me. But what helped me kind of go through that process and really be recover from it, I guess, because I did get burnt out, is just my community. I think my community has been very supportive, and they're like, hey, if you need to take a break, take a break. We'll be there when you get back. And for me, on the other end of that, I have people, and this is another thing that can be kind of hard that I had to deal with, is people who come in and they're with you for a long time. They're there for a year. They're day in, day out. They're your ride or dies. But all of a sudden they're gone. You're like, where are they at? Like, they just stopped coming. And we have a Discord, and we have, I check in on members just to make sure they're okay. But sometimes you don't hear from people. You'd be like, I guess they're gone. But my job as a streamer and as an entertainer is, even if someone else is gone, is to be that consistent landmark that when they come back, they're like, hey, I want to check in and see how Trix is doing. I'm there. I'm still streaming. And, I would say those two were the hardest times, or harder things that I've had to deal with. Is just like burnout, knowing when to take a break, and then also people kind of coming and going, and understanding that there is always going to be an ebb and flow of users who are coming to watch your content.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a tough balance, right? Given that you still have that full-time job at Tom, and you're trying to do as much streaming as possible, to keep that core audience, entertained and interested in what you're doing so far, right?
Yeah.
So I know you haven't shared any funny stories yet, but one tidbit I do know about is that famous nugget challenge that you
the
do,
nugget
right?
challenge.
I don't know if you want to talk about this, Adrian, but I personally feel like the audience would love to know about the nugget challenge.
Know about the nugget.
Yeah, and I want to know when you're doing the next one, right? Because
gosh.
if I'm listening right now, I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? And how do I click on this link, right? Which we'll put in the show notes below, of Adrian's stream. But what is the nugget challenge, and how did that come about? And when is the next one?
That's a good question. How did that actually come about? So
the
nugget challenge was something that I started, I want to say, in my first or second year of streaming. And through my podcast, me and my co-host, we are always very keen on trends, like fast food trends in Japan. And McDonald's has this nugget deal that comes around. It's actually like once a quarter. Every quarter, you can get 15 chicken nuggets for like $2.50 in America or something. It's dirt cheap, right? And it was during that time when the pandemic was on. And, streamathons were a very big thing on Twitch a few years ago, and they still are. You'll see like Kai Sanat, he has the Mafia-thon 2 that's happening.
Kai's awesome, yep.
Yeah, Iron Mouse. There are some great ones out there, and that's really like making an event of your stream, right? And that's something you can do, make an event of your stream. And that's what I thought about doing was, okay, how can I make an event for my stream? It was in the winter. And I will never forget walking back from McDonald's with 100 chicken nuggets. Like, I forgot how many boxes, but just 2 bags full of just chicken nuggets in my hands, and just thinking like, people must think I'm going to a party or I'm crazy. And the funniest thing, that was what happened the second year. The first year I ordered all those nuggets. One of my former students who I used to teach ended up delivering it because I got it delivered. I opened the door and he was like, oh, hey. I was like, oh, hey, you work for McDonald's? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh. And he was like, here's your nuggets. He just kept handing me nuggets. And I was like,
he's probably wondering, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was like, oh,
having a party?
This is for a stream that I'm doing. I stream on Twitch or whatever. It was funny. But I think the first time I ate like 67 nuggets. And I did not have an air fryer. I didn't have anything to reheat them. So I had a table next to me down here, and I just kept eating nuggets for 10 hours. The whole goal was 10 hours, 100 nuggets. Hour 10, I was dead.
67 nuggets is a lot. So
cold nuggets, man.
So tell them how you improved that process. You kind of mentioned this air fryer, and let's go year 2, let's go year 3. Like how many nuggets for those years?
Year 2 was the same goal. Okay, I thought at this point, because during the pandemic I ate more and I kept eating more, and eventually I was like, I need to lose weight. But my stomach was big enough where I thought, okay, I can devour all these nuggets. Second year, the second time I did it, which was last year or the year before last, was actually on I had gotten a subscription from a member for like, I forgot how much. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, I was so surprised. And I was like, man, chat, if you give me like $50 more, I will eat them nuggets again. I'll go for 100 more nuggets. And that second, I have this clip. Someone else just was like, bet. Redeemed 100, like put in like 50 bucks and was like, now go eat those nuggets. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
That's that community engagement right there, right?
That was community engagement.
They want to see you succeed and actually finish 100 nuggets.
Yeah. The only improvement was I did eat, I didn't eat more. I ate less. I ate like 39. I knew my limit. I didn't push myself. I did stream for around 7 hours. And then I did heat the nuggets up like every 10 nuggets, I would heat the rest up. So I didn't get sick. The first time got sick.
They taste better. They taste better at least, right?
They taste fresh. As long as you can air fry nuggets, they're fresh. So my only advice for anyone who's thinking about doing an event, don't do a food event.
Well, I mean, obviously it got people interested, right? And they love to see you do it. So that's my final question, right? When's the next one?
I said,
should we mark it on the calendar?
I said there was not going to be ever going to be a next one, but who knows? I mean, I usually do it in the winter months around Christmas time when they have the deal going. So you can check back. I might try it again. Who knows? You know what? Maybe not nuggets. Maybe fries.
Fries.
100 fries.
100 fries. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's going to have the same interest as
it's
nuggets.
Not the same.
You know?
It's not the same, right?
Maybe like 10 Big Mac or something like that. Like that. That's a sizable thing. You can put it on a stream, like a thumbnail picture right there.
Yeah. You know, like something like that would be nice, like a Big Mac or double cheeseburger or something like that. I think my heart would give out faster, but it's okay.
You might need some Pepto afterwards, but it'd be a great challenge and thumbnail picture where you just like have five Big Macs on the left, on the right, just looking at them. I'm designing your next stream here.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So, Adrian, I don't know. Like people out there, they probably don't know like all the behind the scene work that you have to put in every time you do a stream, and then the work that it takes to promote it, right, on the different social media platforms, things like that. Can you kind of go into a little bit more details about all the behind the scenes and all the hours that you have to put in? And if there's any innovation right now in this space, AI is a big topic right now that's kind of helping that along or not, right?
Yeah. So I would classify myself maybe on the lighter end of work behind the scenes. For some of the streamers that I know, like Co-Carnage, she's a very huge streamer. But I mean, for myself, the thing that I always do is I try to find, there's a couple of streamers that I do follow, Harris Heller, Nutty. They're great for giving not only just tips, but actual software, like recommendations and also hardware recommendations. So I try to stay up with that, and OBS, I wonder what, I have to remember what I think it's not official broadcasting software, but open source broadcasting software. There we go. So if you're ever going to broadcast anything, you can use Streamlabs OBS, which is what I used starting out. And then after that, I started using OBS mainly because you have a freedom to use many plugins, community-made plugins, and a variety of options to where you can integrate the streaming experience on the back end into Twitch or into YouTube, so users can interact with you through like redeeming points or just like commands that they can type into the chat that then will go to OBS. So like an example of this is there's like a shout out that I can do on the stream, and that shout out's very simple, and it's for actually it's what users can do to me. So they have like Twitch points that you get from watching the stream for X amount of minutes. There is a highlight chat option, which is very common. And what I do is I have it as a speech to text. Did I get that right? Text to speech. Text to speech.
Yeah, text to speech.
Yeah.
I have it as so then it changes the voices and stuff, right? Yeah.
So I have that like as a redeem on my channel, but it's not through any like extension or anything through Twitch. It's through a back-end software that I have to customize. It's actually two softwares. One of them is like an actual text-to-speech voice software, and then the next one is one that allows me to do multiple commands. So they can redeem that. It'll read their speech out loud. for a lot of intros. We have like walk-ins on my stream. So if you come in and you've been there like daily or whatever, you have your own like kind of walk-in or walk-out like in baseball. And that's all through that program, like 2 different programs too. So I think the work that I've done outside of the stream has been mainly focused on viewer engagement, how to engage viewers, how to make things, because I do have a smaller community. I can tailor my engagement to specific people in the stream sometimes. There's a lot of inside jokes like clear bacon. We watched a video about how to make clear bacon.
Clear bacon.
Clear bacon. As opposed to real bacon. Clear bacon is just bacon made from liquid that has the taste of bacon. Now, why someone would want to do that, I don't know. But one member was very obsessed with clear bacon, so I made an alert for them that every time they can redeem it, clear bacon pops up. And it's like, thanks for this every time. So, I mean, I think that's what I've done outside of streaming to help. And then, of course, like promoting. There's a lot of different options to promote these days. You can use, of course, social media, whether it's Blue Sky, X, or Instagram. My tip is find what you like. You're already using a social media typically. Find which one you like and kind of stick with it. You'll notice that a lot of content creators that they can use all 4, 5, whatever. You can use all the resources. You're only going to blow up usually on 1 or 2. And you don't have to focus on the rest. You can keep them updated a little bit, but if you're into streaming, I definitely recommend YouTube and YouTube Shorts and or TikTok. And if you're already multi-streaming, you're going to have a VOD on YouTube, and you can take that content, make shorts out of it, hire an editor, or if you know how to edit, and make like a little story packets, little montages and things. Those are things that, while those people may or may not come to your Twitch stream, they'll be a part of your YouTube community or your TikTok community. A lot of time users don't, hop to different platforms. They usually like watching on what they're watching on. And so for you, it's good. They're still watching you. And that's why I say multi-streaming that's the trend now. And any
so
type
would you say, Adrian, like how many hours do you think you're putting in behind the scene to make that all happen?
I mean, it can range. It can be like a couple hours a week. But then if it talks about like YouTube and such, I'd say like maybe 3 or 4 hours a week could be a good number. So for me, I don't feel like that's a lot, but maybe it's a lot for other people. Making thumbnails and editing videos definitely can get very taxing.
Yeah, it definitely can add up, right? Especially if they're doing kind of like your model, which is kind of like what I call a hybrid model, right? Where you still have that full-time work that you're doing, and you're trying to be a full-time streamer, or at least dedicating as much time as possible to the streaming world, right? And speaking of that, knowing that you have these different kind of revenue sources, right? What kind of revenue sources do you kind of focus on? Given that streaming is not the full-time thing for you, right? But yet you do want to make some kind of return on all the time and investment that you put in. Obviously, subscribers is a well-known way of making dollars back, but maybe you can introduce the audience to other revenue streams that you have or are thinking of possessing.
Yeah, because I've definitely sunk a lot of money into the stream that I've been okay sinking money into, especially with my own avatars and artwork that I've have. So for me personally, this year, one of my goals is to get merchandise on set up like a merch store for like just mugs. I have all this artwork that I've had professionally done by now a manga artist, a professional manga artist now.
Wow.
So, it's a waste for it not to be used in a way that can make more money, and especially when the community does like it. So I would say on top of subs are very, very, for people who don't know, Twitch takes, I think it's 50% out for your subs. So you're only making X amount for tier 1 subs. And for TikTok, it's even less because you need to have so many views. And so like subscriptions aren't typically how a lot of streamers make their money. It's like a base of it, obviously. But the next part is definitely merchandising. And that's one area that you can get a lot of money from. The other area is probably just like setting up, instead of having the subscriptions go through the service like Twitch or whatever, you can get it set up through PayPal or a different, site. That way you don't have all the money getting taken out of it. So that's another way to optimize your revenue. So yeah, but for me, honestly, I think the merch is where I know a lot of streamers like really like having their merch store and promoting that. And it's just like it just makes sense, you know. It makes sense when you've made it to a certain point in your brand. Obviously, you don't want to just make merch and not have anyone to buy it at all.
No,
It's like no one knows
clearly,
you.
clearly. But given that you guys have so many inside jokes in your community, is Clear
Yeah.
Bacon going to be one of the shirts that you're going to be promoting in your merch
I
store?
wish clear that was not ever my intention, but now it definitely can be.
Well, it sounds like
It's a good
there's enough
idea.
people that want a
It's a
Clear Bacon
good
shirt from
idea.
you, right?
It's a
That's
good
the running
idea.
joke.
Clear bacon. We'll get some clear bacon out there. Clear bacon and crack.
Crack, I don't know about that one. That could be interpreted a lot of different ways, but
That
Clear
could be it.
Bacon.
There's a lot of things about that. Clear bacon. And crack.
That might not fly over as well. If they're wearing a shirt that just says crack,
Clear
and out
bacon,
there.
crack, and fish. I'm just laying
Fish.
all the memes and fish.
Oh, okay.
There's so
Fish, you
many
might as well
things.
just show like a picture of a fish, and then just people get it, kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah.
like this idea. I like this idea. Time to make the memes a shirt too.
Yeah, right. Mean sure sells very well as far as I know. Yeah. So Adrian, just tying it back here. What kind of helped you define your success in this industry in the next 5 or 10 years, and just like where do you see yourself taking your streaming journey?
It's a good question. I've always been a person who's been on the nearsighted. I think that's the right way of putting it. Like it's always been harder for me to see like what's coming in the future, or what I want to take things. For the longest time, my goal was to grow the community. Right, it was to get more and more members, and that's still the goal. Right, I would love to have a more mid-sized community. I stream to around like anywhere from 5 to 15 people at the moment. I would love to grow that obviously to like 30, 50. It's still a small stream relative to others, but there are people who are relatively, they're like looking at me like, oh, how do you have that many people, right? um I think for myself, what I would like to be doing more in the future too is a little bit more IRL streams. The community really does like seeing Japan and seeing
Yeah.
different areas, or going to like eat different foods and experience this. So that's something I've been wanting to increase a little bit more. And I guess finally, um, well, IRLs, and there was something else that just like left my mind, but um, I think that's, at least at the moment, that's where I would like to be, at least in 5 years, because I work slow and I know I'm still working for a company. So it's just like taking it slowly and then just making more and more engagement for the community. So I'd love to have the YouTube side of things at a subscription level, like a membership for YouTube as well. So growing that to 500, the minimal is like 500 and I think 3,000 hours. So that's like my goal on the YouTube side, is to have that actually completed. And then maybe I can actually start on TikTok. It's like going to the next
Well,
platform.
hopefully TikTok's still around by then, right? There's always
That's true.
this fear or sense of that it might get shut down at any moment, right? So we'll have to see how that goes.
That is very
No,
true.
but your goals make a lot of sense, and I personally feel like you have a geographical advantage being in Japan. There's tons of people who are interested in Japanese culture,
Yeah.
anime, right? Otaku culture. Can you kind of speak a little bit more about like how you feel yourself being immersed in Japanese culture, and how you as an American, feel like, I don't, it could go either way, right? It's like, hey, I've been in a while, I love it, I'd encourage more people to come, or yeah, it's pretty good, but here are the cautious tales that you should adhere to, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have this discussion at work too. A lot of myself and other foreigners at work will always like, we'll get questions from our Japanese coworkers like, is this still popular, or like, where do you think foreigners will go? And we've all gotten to the point where we've lived here. I've been here for like 10 plus years, where everything's normal. And it's like really hard. I know I'll get like videos. I know you've sent me videos. I've watched other TikTokers that I've just recently found, and it'll be like what it's like to do X in Japan, or like what do Japanese people think about this? And it's like all this stuff I used to think about, but now it's like trying to reach back in time and remember what I thought about it. Um, but I will say that if you're looking to come to Japan, it's a wonderful country to visit. I always say come for 2 weeks at least and focus in one area, because it's definitely a country where there's a lot to see. There's a lot of, especially now, a lot of tourists that are here because of the exchange rates. So you definitely want to make sure you plan your routes, taking the train. But living here, it's been very wonderful in terms of it's very convenient. It's very safe. A lot of the things that you hear in that regard are very true. And then of course, every place has its own issues or problems. For me personally, I had a hard time making friends, more than I would think in the U.S. And to the point where sometimes I used to think, am I crazy or can I not make friends anymore? And, as we get older, it does become harder to make friends.
Of course.
And that's something you kind of learn as well. But I would honestly say, yeah, like there's cultural differences that you'll have to just kind of learn about if you're living here. But if you're visiting, you'll never interact with that. You won't experience it. You will get the best version of Japan, which is everyone's very friendly, which everyone is for the most part. Everyone's polite. Now, are they honest and polite? That's a different story. But when you go to McDonald's and you get your burger, not only will that burger come out looking like the picture, but they will give you a smile when they give it to you. And I'm just saying, in the U.S., I don't remember it too often.
Well, yeah, or maybe it's for part of the memories you have forgotten, right? Being in Japan for so long.
It could be. It could very well be. I had that moment when I went back like the first or second time, and I thought that going through customs or everywhere, people would be kind of like, just very busy and not mean per se, but just like, hey, thanks, here you go, whatever. And everyone was so nice in the U.S. I was like, man, everyone was nice. At least at that time.
I would say it varies, right? Depending where you go, but I would say there are definitely nice parts of the United States, right? They're very polite, right? And being
exactly.
From the South, you know exactly what I mean. But Southern hospitality does exist. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing a glance of Japanese life, and and I personally love traveling to Japan myself. Right, I try to make a trip out of it this year in the winter time myself. So so just shifting gears here. So part of the Profit Powerhouse is we love to dig into the financial management and accounting and tax part of it, because that's what we do, right? We run an online accounting agency, and we love working with content creators to help them with their tax savings, to make sure that we can manage their books. And then part of what makes it interesting for you, Adrian, is you live in Japan, so you kind of have to deal with not only U.S. taxes, right, but also Japanese taxes. So I'm sure other entrepreneurs out there who may want to explore living in another country, who are U.S. citizens, would love to learn a little bit more about your experiences dealing with that, right? So maybe we could start off there, right? What has it been like, all these years living in Japan, but then having to do U.S. taxes and Japanese taxes, making a Japanese salary, right? Do your job. Has it been difficult? What is it like even filing your tax return every April, which is coming up right now? It's when deep in tax season.
Yeah. So filing there are a couple things about filing from at least Japan, and I'm not sure about other countries because there's different arrangements. The arrangement between Japan and at least the U.S. is that your taxes are due by the end of June. So it's actually, you get like an extension, like an automatic extension. Of course, you can send it in earlier if you want to. All the forms still apply, but you are not required to file, because I do pay Japanese tax. They do have an arrangement where I don't pay U.S. taxes unless I make like $250K a year. Like it's very much a high taxable amount. If you don't, that process is like filling out more zeros than you may ever like. It's a lot of zeros. It's a lot of zeros. And I don't own any property here. Now, there are some things that you do have to kind of claim as part of the Foreign Inclusion Act or Exclusion Act, I think.
Yeah, this is Foreign Earned Income Exclusion, FEIE is the abbreviation.
Yes. And that's one of the forms that you'll file. The 255 is another form you'll file. And then there's like a 1080 EZ. There's another form. There's like three main forms. but they're very easy to fill out. I fill it out manually every year. I could use a software, but it's to the point now where I don't know how to use the software because I'm so used to looking at the actual physical tax stuff. But essentially your taxes, they get negated for the US. In terms of filing taxes in Japan, and I'm sure many people in the US would like this, but your company, the finance department at your company files your taxes.
Wow.
I have only seen my taxes once. I like you get the income, you get the slip back. You just tell them essentially like, do you have any dependents? Are you married? And I know the process for filing when you're married is a little bit different. And of course, if you have any type of land, the one thing the U.S. will get you on is if you have like a 401k, I think, or just like a high interest saving account. Anything that's a high interest saving account, you do have to claim for the U.S. And there's a little bit of a annoyance with it. Like I don't know any foreigners who actually have a high interest savings here in Japan because when you claim it in the US, there's a little bit more of a process that doesn't actually make having it worth it. I wish I had more details on it, but people have been strongly advising me not to. Even when I look into it, it's just like, so I have a high interest saving account in the US. Avoid that altogether.
Yeah. So what Adrian is talking about is the FEIE, right? Which allows basically US citizens working abroad who works most of their time abroad. I think there's a day that you have to be abroad and not be in the US, right? So you got to be careful about how often you come back to the US, for example, to not make yourself not be able to get this exclusion, right? So then it basically avoids double taxation, right? So then you don't have to pay US taxes. You just have to pay the Japanese government. Would you say that's an advantage? Would you encourage people to kind of like live the way you are, kind of like almost like a digital nomad, right? Where you can live, maybe not even only in Japan, like you can actually just travel around if you wanted to, right? To Europe, to other countries also. But as long as you stay out of the US, right? That's one of the rules. So what they call the bona fide test is how you qualify for this, right? So what do you think? Like, do you encourage people to kind of work in this model, which is leave the US? So there's so many other great countries out there.
I mean, I would say like if you're able to, definitely give it a shot and just, consult your financial advisor just to make sure like, hey, you can pass the bona fide test. Make sure that the countries you're going to do qualify for this. And then I would say, give it a shot just because it's living in another country gives you a different perspective of your own country. And I think that that's very, very valuable. Not just for yourself, but for the people around you or for your children, your future children or whatever, like it's just a very good mindset to have because a lot of the things that we have in the US, we can sometimes take for granted. And, I live in Japan and I'll go to the supermarket, but when you think about the size, I never thought about the size of a Walmart or a Costco or something before until I went into just a normal, what is a large supermarket. And I'm sitting here like I can fit like 5 of these or 6 of these in Walmart. Like it's just a size difference, but things are done differently. And it's not a bad thing. It's just eye-opening.
Hey, that's an advantage to me, right? Not having to deal with Japanese taxes because your company does it for you, right? Is a headache that a lot of individuals, folks in the US are like, man, I wish I didn't have to do my taxes anymore. Or I think about it every year. And it sounds like if you're in Japan, that's exactly the case, right? The US still bothers you a little bit, but as long as you can, file the exemption well, and it seems like, however long you've been here now, which is over 10 years, you got that nailed down, right? So out of a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being that you feel like this is the best thing that ever happened to me, and 1 being it's not, right? Where would you rate yourself on the tax situation of a U.S. citizen living in a foreign country on that scale?
It's a 10.
Oh,
it's
wow.
A 10.
See,
it's
you're here first.
There's
10.
It's a 10 for different reasons. Number 1, I've known multiple American citizens who didn't know they needed to file taxes and had not filed taxes for 5 years.
Oh, we're not going to name names here. So
not naming names.
Doesn't come after them, but...
No, the government never said anything to them. I don't know what.
Okay.
I don't know why. The only reason they knew to do it was because they asked me, like, so do you have to do taxes? I'm like, yeah. Haven't you been doing them? No. And I've sent my taxes back, and I've made a mistake on it one time, and they did actually send it back to me with a Post-it note that said like, "Hey, please fill out this part or correct this."
An actual Post-it note?
An actual Post-it note, man.
Now you know what you guys can expect to receive now. If you ever get an IRS letter.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. It just feels a lot more easy that I don't have to think about Japanese taxes. And my company, and especially like with insurance, all of that, it's just kind of there and kind of taken care of. In some ways, you can become too laxed about it if you don't keep up with it, like what's changing. But I don't know what it's like to fill out taxes, like to really fill out taxes and have to try to get, money back or not pay too much. I don't know that experience.
Adrian, I think that 10 rating is going to really encourage people to start packing their bags and leaving the U.S. This might not be the only reason, as we know, right? There might be other factors right now in play that may encourage people to leave the country at this moment, as we alluded to.
Just make sure you're working full time. That's the crutch. You need to be a full time employee of that company for them to do it for you. If not, they will give you the forms.
Oh, okay. You don't want that to happen. So definitely get a full time job. Definitely live outside the U.S. for most. I would say 95% of the time, right? That's how you're going to be able to qualify for this. But if you guys need more things, obviously you can guys hit me up. I'll give you more advice there. But so, hey, Adrian, looking ahead, we just started 2025 here. We're in February. Any exciting plans or projects you want to share with the audience?
For the stream specifically, like I said, I'm working on getting that merch up. I guess maybe some memeable merch as well.
Yep. Clear bacon.
That's the main thing for the stream. I have a list. Let me just kind of pull this up for myself. And obviously, one thing I would say in the future that I would like to do, and something I want to do more this year, is collaborative streams. Collaborating with either other content creators or just people within my community. Just trying to play games with them or just kind of have that, because streaming is a very collaborative experience, though you don't need to do it to be successful. Twitch and other platforms, Twitch now is making it, that's their initiative, is they would like to have more people streaming together, as easy as possible to make that happen. Just click the link and you're in someone's stream, or your chat is combined with their chat. And next thing you know, you have a bigger community of users and people watching. So for me, the goal this year is, number one, the merch store. And then, like I said, doing more collaborative streams within my community, at least.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. So on the final part of the podcast, we always ask this to our esteemed guests, what we call the final advice, right? Obviously, there's a lot of people out there who strives to become an entrepreneur, strive to become a content creator, a streamer. If you can give 1, 2, 3 pieces of advice for someone who's, on that, let's call it perimeter, right? It's like, I don't know. Can I become Adrian? Can I become Ninja Triska? I don't know. Like, it seems really hard. It seems really far away from me. What can you do? What kind of advice do you can give that's actionable to these folks out there who's still thinking about it, afraid to take that leap of faith, that will kind of push them to the next level, right? Just simple step to get them started, because, getting started is always the hardest.
It's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, in terms of and I think this probably applies in any field, is just do it.
Just do it. Just like the Nike. There's a Nike
just
saying.
Do it.
Okay,
Nike, Shia LaBeouf, whoever you want to meme it off of, it really is just do it. Because once you do it once, you can start understanding what it is you need to do next, or what you don't want to do next. Even as like an artist, when I was drawing, the hardest thing to do is look at a blank page, and it doesn't become something until you put a line on it, right? And then that line becomes more and more. You're always going to kind of doubt yourself, how it looks, or, oh yeah, the stream was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of iffy today. So just do it and review it. It's a simple thing.
Oh man, rhymes. This is great.
Do it and review it, because for the podcast, when I was podcasting as well, I was learning audio editing. You're going to have to learn things, but go back, listen to it, watch it, see what you like of your own work that you're creating or not create, or what you don't like. And then that goes into the next thing, and it just becomes a repetition. And, the thing is, I would say the main other advice is don't chase success. Don't chase what other people. Every success is relative, and that's something I've learned. You as a content creator or any type of creator, you are making something for other people, and but at the same time, you need to be invested in it yourself, whatever it is you're making. Because if you are invested in it, then those hours, like the 4 hours I will spend an hour on making one thumbnail. And that's me just, and I have a format. I've simplified it. 400 something thumbnails later, I have a format, multiple formats. But I love color theory. I love like trying to get the design right, trying to get the, like what makes it pop. But I couldn't do that for an hour if I didn't like it or if I don't like what the subject matter I'm dealing with. So make sure that you like what you're putting out, like you like working with what you're putting out. So that passion will be conveyed to other people and they'll see it. Yeah, like that's my advice. Just do it, review it, and be passionate about it.
Adrian, I don't know what's happening here, but it seems like you're just going to have a whole merch line just from this one episode podcast, right? Just do review it. It's going to be the number 2 bestseller after Clear Bacon, obviously. No, it's been wonderful having you on. Obviously, we covered a lot, but hey, if they want to connect with you, Adrian, and just learn more about your journey, which is really just interested in your Nugget Challenge or other streams, or buy your merch, how can I do that?
Yeah. Well, you can follow me on YouTube and Twitch under Ninja Tricksta. That's NinjaTrixta. It's a long name. But you can find me on there. I'm streaming every, like I said, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here in Japan. And that's usually the morning time because I stream at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. That's like early morning in the U.S. If you're on East Coast, like 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Or sorry, 8 a.m., 7 a.m., somewhere around there. So that's the best way to find me. You can also do the same thing on TikTok. I have content on TikTok as well. And you can watch all the previous streams on YouTube. So I would say definitely if you want to catch up with me, yeah, follow on YouTube and then just leave some comments on videos or post. That's where I'm at. Ironically, I'm not on like X anymore. Like that used to be
no more Twitter X.
Yeah, that used to be my platform that I loved using. And then maybe I just got old. I think a lot of us now that X is just what it is. It's like, do we make a Blue Sky? I have a Blue Sky. I use Blue Sky a little bit, but a lot of the people that I follow or that, like they're not on X. I mean, on Blue Sky or kind of they're on Blue Sky. I don't know. So it's like starting over.
Got it. Okay, so don't look for Adrian on X Twitter. That's not gonna exist. But otherwise, if you want to catch up on all the great meme content on the Clear Bacon and the Just Do It advice, you know where to find him, and we'll of course put it in the show note below. Adrian, it's been wonderful having you on the Profit Powerhouse. You've been a wonderful guest. We learned a lot about the world of content creators, streamers, and yeah, it's just great advice that I'm sure a lot of our listeners are gonna resonate with. And hopefully they reach back. If you ever need to connect with us, we'll leave all our contacts below. Thank you for being on, and guys out there, thank you for listening in today.
Thanks everyone for listening.